Hey everyone, on the season finale of Prison of Love, it's time for Ben to finish some unfinished business.
Ben Moore made a promise years ago. Today, he remembers.
Hey everyone, on the finale to Prison of Love, it's time to get Ben Moore in here and finish some unfinished business. What do you think we're playing? You said you had a feeling.
I have a guess.
Okay.
Especially now that you've said unfinished business.
Yes.
It's fucking Knack.
No.
Oh,
Completely
it's not
wrong.
Knack?
Completely
Completely wrong?
100% wrong. This is something you promised me years ago.
Oh,
Dragon's
yeah!
Crown.
Oh, this is
Come
way
on.
better than Knack.
Choose your
This is way
character.
better than Knack.
Choose your character.
Oh,
Let's
hell
go.
Yeah.
I love the dwarven meat.
Yeah.
I chose the dwarf, by the way.
Do I pick somebody that I've never played before in this, or do I pick something that's familiar?
I went with my heart and soul, which is obviously the dwarf.
I think it's time to kill some monsters on a big sword.
Yes. I want to ask you some questions.
All right.
When did you get into fantasy?
So in middle school, a best friend of mine, a friend who was in my wedding, we met at a 6th grade band camp, and we started talking about Diablo 2.
Okay.
And he actually got me into a lot of cool stuff. He got me into Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
The thing that made me fall in love with fantasy, that I love even more than D&D itself,
Yeah.
a series of books, Dragonlance.
Dragonlance. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning these over the years.
I will always have a super special place in my heart.
Yeah.
For those characters and that series, yeah.
Dude.
And then D&D got me really into Infinity Engine games like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, and I loved those a lot. But
Was it the game made you fall in love with fantasy? Like Diablo 2, right?
Yeah.
One of the that game itself made you made you a fantasy fan.
I think it was the stories. I think it was Dragonlance. I loved Diablo 2, but I didn't love it because it was fantasy.
Yeah.
Diablo doesn't really have Diablo's about clicking on things and they're dying. I'm not trying to shit on Diablo, but it's a game that is very active. There's a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah.
But it's when I play Diablo, I just kind of go, you know?
Yes.
And things like Baldur's Gate 2 made me stop and think and make moral decisions, and that's when I got into it more.
Yes.
I would think is when I had to make those decisions a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Ben Moore, on magic? Not Magic the Gathering.
Oh goddamn.
Magic. Swords and sorcery. Magic.
I'm sure people could list a bunch of books that do magic really well, but as far as video games go, I think they need to spice magic up a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's disappointing when you pick a wizard class and it's I control the elements, it's a fireball, it's, icicles raining from the sky or chain lightning.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've been casting the same spells for 20 years, you know?
What is your favorite spell to cast? Favorite type of spell? You don't need to be too specific.
So in Diablo 1, the flame wall that you can make. I just loved that thing. I loved the sense of chaos that it created. It just felt really violent and powerful. I don't remember the name of it specifically.
Wall of Flame. Let's go with that.
Yeah. That sounds right, actually.
Wall of Flame.
But I really loved that spell in Diablo 1.
Final Fantasy is a series, you're so into JRPGs, Ben. Do you love JRPGs because, why, I guess? Did you get into, was it just the fantasy aspect? When did you become a Final Fantasy fan?
I owe a lot of my life to old gaming magazines.
Yeah.
They really shaped me as a person.
Yeah.
I was I can't believe people can write about video games, that this exists. It blew my mind. And I picked up a copy of EGM, and they talked about Final Fantasy VII, the second coming of Christ. And the screenshots looked amazing. And I was I have to play this game. And so I got Final Fantasy VII. And I think, the moment I loved Final Fantasy VII was that first boss. And, the tail going up and just the bombing mission in general, it was just perfect. It was just an incredible opening to the game.
The Witcher's something that's going around right now, fantasy show. what is it about fantasy, Ben? What do you love
is it
about
about
it? You know,
fantasy?
like horror, I can tell you right now, I love being scared. I love gore,
Yeah.
you know? I love that when it does it successful, it's like asking serious questions about society sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
What do you love about fantasy?
What I love about fantasy is in so many ways it's just like they deal with, like you were saying, real world issues. Like there's a lot of politics in fantasy, right? That's very common, especially in The Witcher. Right?
Yes.
But like in the real world, when something like goes shitty in your life, or like you don't like the way a political maneuver is happening, you can't just like cast a spell, right? You don't have like the option for swords and sorcery. And I don't advocate violence in any way, but like when you're playing a video game, it's nice to have the option to just be like, I'm taking care of this,
Yes.
you know? Like I always thought it was really cool in Final Fantasy IX where like Vivi is trying to figure out his identity and he's able to have that process be visualized in like the Black Waltz boss fight and he's able to throw a fireball at it. Like how many things in your life do you wish you could just throw a metaphorical fireball at?
Yes.
You know?
Yes, Ben.
That's what I think is cool about fantasy. You just finished The Outer Worlds, for
Yes,
instance.
yes.
It's so nice to just be able to be like, I have enough points to tell you no, like, or to talk your way out of
Yes.
the situation.
Persuasion.
Right,
I
persuasion.
have enough persuasion
I have enough
points.
persuasion. Like sometimes don't you wish life was that simple? Where it's
Yes.
just like my stats are too high for you to be an idiot right now.
Look at this art. Look at this game, Ben.
I know, it's a
You
gorgeous
know-
game. Yeah.
Vanillaware has not released a game in the States.
Well, they like
Since-
are working on that game.
Like 12 Sins or 12 People or
yeah,
something.
I've forgotten the name of it. The name escapes me.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's been like 7 years.
I think like 13 Sentinels.
I think you're right. When I think of fantasy and I think of RPGs, I just think of length and, you know, adventure. Like, it is such a commitment. And I got to a point where I stopped stressing about it, Ben.
Yeah.
I stopped stressing about it. I stopped rushing it because that's not fair to the game and that's not fair to you.
Yeah.
Like Persona 5, take your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Huber, I feel like 2019 and 2018 especially, I felt like a really huge anxiety with games where
Yes.
like, obviously, you know, we have to cover things and talk about things, but it got to a point where it was just like, you weren't even enjoying the thing you were playing because we were thinking about all the things you still had to play.
Exactly,
and
you're
that's-
thinking about the pipeline.
That's no way to live. And it's actually really discouraging talking to people when you're like, oh, hey, I finally finished this thing. And they're like, oh, cool. But what about this thing?
But what about immediately?
Sometimes it feels like it's just about like consuming things. It's not
Yes.
about like
Playing them,
or like
enjoying.
offering a perspective on them. You know, I think that's a lot more interesting than just like, yeah, I did it. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot.
I know you said something the other day when you were talking about just going back to games, revisiting them. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Very briefly, Ben. I want to talk about the act of revisiting a game. Just with so many new games,
Yeah.
it's so hard to spend time to go back
Yeah.
on a game, but I feel like when I do, I appreciate it kind of outside of the sphere of judgment.
Right.
You
right,
know?
right. Absolutely.
And that's exciting. That's fun. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh,
Boss
we
fight.
got a wyvern. I'm sorry, Huber. I've been really bad at multitasking.
We've been
playing this
owning
game,
it,
and-
Ben. That's the challenge. That's the challenge of it. This thing is a tank.
This game, as a beat 'em up,
It's
did so many
good.
interesting things while not spoiling like that good old simplicity.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like this is a forgotten gem. Yo, is this a double wyvern here? Yeah, this thing called for backup, Ben. This is a lot. I don't remember this. I was not expecting this. All these.
You know what I
Oh,
have
no.
like an appreciation for? Like boss fights that have like a comical number of like alternate forms or phases to them.
Yep. Dude. Smashing in. I'm getting strong The Hobbit vibes.
Oh yeah.
The goblins. The Goblin King. We're in the Goblin King's realm right now.
You know, you're probably not gonna like this, but It's almost impressive how disappointing those Hobbit movies were.
I like the second one. Ben Moore. My favorite thing to do is sit down with my friends and play video games. And that's all I wanted to do.
You could give us the worst game in the world, and I feel like we'd have a good time.
Yes.
So
Ben, I ask you, do you want to leave? Or would you like to play one more?
I want to play one more. You knew the answer.
I did know the answer, and I have a special surprise because it's the finale.
Oh, shit.
Brandon Jones is coming in.
Brandon Jones!
3-player Dragon's Crown now.
Dragonlance hype, Ben.
How have I known you for so long and I haven't known this?
Yeah.
Dude!
Were your origins to fantasy also Dragonlance, or just like you were picking that up as you were going along?
I wouldn't say, to be honest, my origin to fantasy was probably He-Man. That was probably like the first really swords and sorcery thing I enjoyed as a child. And was like, this is fantastic.
Who's your favorite archer?
I know it's cheesy, but it's gotta be Robin Hood. I mean, he's such a class act.
Dude! Nailed it.
Are you riding a cat?
Yeah, Ben is on that thing right now.
I was trying to attack
Madman.
you, and then I was like, wait, I think that's Ben.